Hey everyone, this is Ben from Cheddar Flow for our weekly recap video, and we have a few tickers that are interesting and are very uncommon that kind of come through on at least the bullish flow tab that I have open right here. So I'm going to go over them and why there is more potential for them, whether it be this week or in the coming weeks or potentially coming months for some of these tickers. And then also after that, I'm going to give one of my bearish setups as well. That I think has a lot more potential on the downside. And I kind of hinted at this on the Twitter account, but you'll have to see with some more analysis in this video at the end. So I'll get right into that right now. All right, so the first ticker I want to go over is GLD, which actually was the second one on here. This is the ETF for gold. And basically, you can click on it on here to see all of the flow that we got kind of from Friday, because this is just for Friday. But also you could go back to the past week on the tab up there. But anyways, this has been getting a ridiculous amount of not only premium and amount of calls on it, but also the strike in terms of how aggressive they're going into it. This has been pretty crazy. A lot of these calls that we're seeing on here are not just out of the money, they're really far out of the money for gold, because gold typically doesn't move around that much in comparison to maybe equities, because remember, this is a commodity. However, the gold ETF right here, these are far out of the money contracts that these people are buying. 200 on here, 190. These are far in comparison to the 183 spot price they bought them at for most of these. And there are a lot of contracts being bought on here. You can see all these prints, and not only are there being a lot, this is also a lot of these are whether they're for April or even March coming up. That's not a very far expiration, so they're expecting a large move, or at least hedging for a large move in the coming weeks at this point, and also the coming months, because there are some other ones maybe for May up here, but for the most part, a lot of these are for that March 18th or just April expiration, which means there could be a large move coming up for it. So ones that are very notable are ones like this. We have the 3/18 of 2022. That's only in 2 weeks now for the 200 strike. This one is far out of the money. Not only that, this was a 2.2 million in premium order, so that's really big. This was close before the close. And remember, a block order right here, this is for an institution. So this was an opening order. The volume to OI was really significantly over what the open interest was previously. So this is a kind of print that's very interesting to see, and they're expecting a large move, or again, they may be hedging, because remember, when times are uncertain, gold has the tendency to go up, especially when the market's pulling back and times are uncertain. People like to store their money in more safer, let's call them, investments, such as gold in this case. So gold has the potential to go up. Coming up here, and we'll check the chart right here really quick. So what I really like about gold's chart is it is about to most likely form a giant cup and handle from the past 2 years. Not only that, it's a cup and handle within the last 2 years. It is also a cup and handle within the last 10 years. So we have a huge cup right here. We have the handle of that cup. Think about, like, if you're sipping tea, this would be the cup. This is the handle. And now we have the big breakout. This breakout is going to be massive. That is actually going to be an understatement. Again, it could fail. Remember, probability says in the market that anything can happen. However, this breakout, it could have the potential of going 240, 250 at least on here. So very interesting to see that potential here. And that probably makes sense why these institutions are picking the strike of choice of like 200 that's far out of the money and stuff. But as of now, this thing is breaking out pretty big. Got rejected over here and then got picked up again, which shows that it's even more bullish. So it seems to be en route for that 195, potentially 200 before any significant pullback off of that. But chart is looking beautiful right now, so I like how the chart plays out along with our flow on that. All right, second one. Everyone's kind of going to know this already, because if you do have a car, you know that gas prices are going up quite a bit, and it's obviously not the most ideal thing when you have to fill it up and see that you have to pay much more than you were maybe a few months ago. But energy has gone up quite a bit in price. So OXY is an energy stock, XOP is as well. XLE is the ETF for energy. So we're seeing a lot of these energy names show up on the bullish flow tab, which is very unusual. So the one I want to go over, at least the ticker today that I want to go over, is going to be OXY. And I'm going to filter it with our filter system up here for over 100,000 in premium. I want to see what the bigger money players are doing with this stock in terms of the calls and potentially puts on it. So after clicking on that for over 100,000, I noticed that a lot of these orders are actually closing orders, or they at least seem to be closing orders. So the first three up here were leaps, and these are very far in the money. The volume to OI is also much lower. So this could be an assumption that these were closing orders on this ticker that people bought maybe leaps on the previous year for that 2023. And now they're closing them out just because, if you look over here, energy has just exploded. Like the last few days on this thing have just been crazy, continuously going up. This is a bullish, is about as bullish as it can get on a candle for a daily and also the weekly, because this is when the weekly closed. So looks like there's going to be some more room for this thing. And what I was looking through, when I was looking through for more here, we did see a little bit out of the money calls on this one. We saw the 60 strike for April, so that is bullish. 50 strike, relatively bullish as well. And then we saw some people taking leaps on this thing. So for 70 strike, that is good to see. However, what is missing here, what I want to get to here is we aren't seeing a lot of premium. So yes, there is quite a bit. Again, this is a lot more than normal on this ticker. I must say that. However, we're not seeing that big like multi-million-dollar order that's like far out of the money or anything like I've talked about in other videos. That doesn't mean this can't continue up. Obviously, chart is showing that this is a very high probability setup that it will continue up. But I want to see more orders kind of like this. I want to see, this one is August, so it's a little bit further. I want to see April, May, and June orders that are around that 70 strike and continuously coming through the tape. Again, 819 isn't bad for something far out of the money like this, but I want to see a little bit of closer expiration with those 70 contracts, maybe 65 contracts, and that's going to be that decisive factor that kind of changes how it could do in the near term. So all of these are pretty far deep in the money, so they're not as relevant to this thing. Could be closing positions because these people were going to be up quite a bit on it. But otherwise, again, look for the 65, 70, 75 strikes on this with a lot of premium backing it this week. And that could be the signal that this thing is about to fire off even more. All right, the last ticker I want to go over here is Apple. And we did talk about this one on the Twitter account for Cheddar Flow. However, I want to go a little bit more in depth for you guys because there were some questions on it. So basically, Apple's flow is extremely bearish. So first off, put to call flow, 81% to 19%, and this is for filtered over $100,000 in premium orders. If we scroll down right here, a little bit before the close, we had a ton of 150 puts hammering the tape, and that is far out of the money for Apple. Remember, Apple isn't moving like some of the other tickers like Tesla, even Microsoft. This doesn't move as much as those. So the fact that these guys were buying 150 strikes for only a month away basically in terms of expiration, and they were putting millions of premium into it is very concerning if you are Apple bull. If you're shorting Apple, then this would be good for you, and you could also play with that trend. So all of these are super bearish. We saw some very, very bearish prints like this one right here for the 150 strike. The 1.2 million in premium. We saw the 150 for 2.2 million in premium. They bought 6,588 contracts on that. So a lot of bearish bets going into the end of the day and into that weekend. Not good for Apple at all. And if I look at the chart right here for you, basically what's happened is we have this top of the trend line right here that's been going down. It's been rejected every single time that it tried to test it. We got over once from a gap up and it got hammered straight down the next day. So very, very weak as it tried to test here. And it was no different on Thursday when we tested it and it got rejected very hard. So if history repeats itself, this rejection will promote a fall all the way down to this trend line. So this would be, look at that, under 150 if we did fall to this trend line again. So seems they're taking that bet because remember, their risk is a close above this level versus the reward is all the way down to here. So interesting bet that they're taking. I do find it interesting that they also are taking those April contracts because remember, this is something that's happening basically within a month of their expiration. So interesting that they think it's going to hit there within a month. That's a pretty bearish bet on that. We did have a 1.6 million in the call side, so this could supplement it a bit. This was out of the money as well. However, it was for the April 8th expiration. I prefer to have the monthly contracts kind of like the April 14th instead of stuff like April 8th or April, I don't know what the other ones were, but I like to see the ones that are the option expiration day, the main day of that month, hitting the tape. It's just a preference because these tend to be trades that are a lot shorter. They don't actually hold to April on them. That's just my experience on it. The ones like this, very bearish, and it's incredible, honestly, that this much premium has been going into it. Like here, another one, 1.1 million in premium going to the sell side or short side of this. So Very bearish. You're going to look for this one this week. If I were to have a bias on this one, which I don't tend to have biases on tickers. I like to just trade them intraday based on their setups. My bias would be bearish on Apple just based on the flow and then also the chart that we have here. So be careful if you are an Apple bull on here. Looks like there's more pain to come for that. But otherwise, appreciate you guys watching this video. If you have any questions, comment them below. And also we have our Discord group, so you could always ask questions in the Discord. But otherwise, have a very profitable week, and I'll see you guys next time.